What's happening, guys? LightningSnow back today with another video. Today, I got my good friend Daigo back with me. Say hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
So today, I'm doing something that I've wanted to do for a while. I have a similar video on my channel about a certain other character that's also divisive amongst the fandom, which was Tobirama. I did it in the format of, is Tobirama really that powerful? Now, this is something that I think I'm going to continue to do every now and then, involving other certain characters. It's almost like how strong is blank, or is blank underrated or overrated. So if you want me to continue to do this series as like a separate niche altogether, let me know in the comments below and who you want me to cover. So today we're covering Itachi Uchiha, and I wanted to do this specifically because have a bit of a reputation about me that I lowball Itachi like it's nobody's business. And so I wanted to rectify that a little bit because, unfortunately, in my video catalog, I kind of do them dirty when it comes to certain characters, like pitting them up against certain opponents, such as Obito, Minato, and Pain. And Daigo was even on that Obito video with me in that respective fight. So, unfortunately, like I said, some of these other characters are really broken, but Itachi is also broken. And I think this is what this video today is meant to entail and to bring to light, that like I don't feel like I sleep on Itachi. Unfortunately I pit him up against certain characters that are just not fair in his respective opinion. So I mean, Daigo, if you had to describe Itachi in 2 words when it comes to like his battle prowess, all over his attributes, well, what would come to mind?
I'd say he's probably a glass cannon, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you want me to describe him in 2 words, I don't like people that say that he has no chakra whatsoever, that he has no durability or anything like that, because he clearly does. It's just that the people that you usually put him against in versus battles to make those videos interesting, they have way more damage potential than what Itachi can withstand, and usually they have also much more stamina and chakra. So that's why Itachi kind of falls back a little bit in those versus battles. But if he gets, a shot in the beginning of the fight, Itachi has a win con against pretty much any character, because he does have Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, the Totsuka Blade, and can also bring up Izanami, which are all these jutsus can end the fight in a single blow. Not even because you have to do the cycle and everything, but still, it's a powerful jutsu.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, setting aside like 6-path characters, Itachi also has arguably the strongest defense in the series. Setting aside Madara Susanoo, that like is a tank in and of itself, but like again, setting that aside, Itachi has the Yaramir, which is, again, it's pretty much infinitely durable. So, like you said, glass cannon, but at the same time, he has so many one-shots that like he's able to deal with just about most opponents in the series. It's one of those things, like if he doesn't do it quickly, he kind of runs the risk of tiring himself out. So like you said, glass cannon, it's like it's almost in a Kishimoto's way of nerfing an opponent that's so strong, because if he was peak condition for the majority of the series, he'd be way too tough for, again, like maybe 80% of the series.
And the problem when you do Itachi in fights, when you write for Itachi, is that people, if you want somebody to beat Itachi or not die against him, you either have to make Itachi not want to kill that person, which is pretty much every single fight he's in the entire series. He doesn't have killing intent. He doesn't want to kill Sasuke, he doesn't want to kill Kakashi, he doesn't want to kill Jiraiya. So he either flees, or he does something that, well, let me orchestrate this fight in a way that the outcome benefits me and the Leaf Village.
Right.
And also when Itachi has to fight against extremely powerful characters in a versus battle video, for example, the characters that you put him up against, they're going to have Hacks abilities, which is pretty much the only way to counter Itachi's abilities. How are you going to counter Amaterasu and Totsuka Blade? You have to either phase through things like Obito can, you have to have Flying Raijin to teleport away, or be extremely fast, power clipping Itachi, basically, which makes it difficult because either Itachi stomps or he loses the fight. That's kind of how the character goes.
Yeah. So real quick, me and Daigo are gonna kind of do a run through about his feats in the whole, perspective manga. I'm going to be including some of the light novels myself because I think some of the feats that he pulls off in light novels, specifically when he's really younger, is ridiculous. So just to start, during the Nine-Tailed attack, the way the book is describing it, the Nine-Tails is running rampage and everyone's running around, screaming their heads off, and there's a whole bunch of like debris falling. Oh, there's like a giant rock that's falling towards Mikoto and Sasuke, baby Sasuke. And while Mikoto didn't even notice that the rock was falling behind her, Itachi takes action himself and completely destroys the rock on impact. And this is Itachi, who has not even entered the academy yet. And just the way the book describes it, I could be wrong on this, but the way that the book describes it, it sounds like he's amping his strength with some chakra control, which almost kind of seems similar to what Sakura and Tsunade do. So I don't know if that's exactly what he's doing. Again, this is, one of the light novels, so like sometimes it could be interpreted different ways. But if that is the case, that is crazy because most Chunin can't do something like that. I'd even argue that some lesser Jonin may not be able to do that either. So like the fact that Itachi can do that, not even having any kind of ninja training, was ridiculous. Now, I'm not trying to give him too much credit because it might be something that like he just didn't know how to do. Like he didn't know that he could do something like that. It was like once in a lifetime kind of thing. It just happened to be like, I had to take care of this situation and my body just moved on its own kind of thing. And so I just think it's really impressive considering, again, he has no ninja training whatsoever. So, and then in the novels, as he goes on, then in the academy, I mean, we all know that Itachi graduated at a really young age, and apparently like he continuously surprised his teachers at like every single turn, including like beating everybody in a shuriken practice, and saying that he had like, I think they had to complete it in like 5 minutes, the rest of the students, and Itachi pulls it off in 30 seconds. And Itachi also got really mad at himself because he felt like he could have done way better. I think he said something like he could have like shaved 5 seconds off or something like that, which kind of implies he could have done it. So just as a young kid, Itachi is like really ridiculous. And as far as the Chunin exams go, I mean, he's obviously, got the second highest score next to Minato, set a record for the Forest of Death, getting to, completing the Forest of Death, which also included the fact that Danzo recommended him to take the Chunin exams alone because his teammates weren't really as impressive, obviously. So he was able to, become a Chunin because Danzo recommended it to him pretty much because he completed the Forest of Death and it took out 3 ninja to take their Heaven Scroll, get to the tower, and then in the Chunin exams tournament, he does so well in the opening fight that he's just allowed to skip the rest of the bracket and is immediately promoted to Chunin. So it does sound crazy and it does sound ridiculous, but no, Itachi's like really broken as a kid. I think his most impressive thing that happens as a kid though is his confrontation with Obito during the Itachi light novels, and it's sort of brought up in the Itachi backstory filler arc in the anime where he encounters Obito. And I believe it is Itachi, a Genjutsu specialist, a Jonin, and one of the Guardian Shelby 12. Obito catches everybody in the Genjutsu aside from Itachi and his Genjutsu specialist teammate, which is crazy because Itachi at this point doesn't even have his Sharingan, and as a matter of fact, it's the death of his teammate that like manifests the Sharingan for the first time. So this is Itachi that probably doesn't have any Genjutsu training, if at all. And he was still able to resist the Genjutsu from Obito, who was able to put Yagura under Genjutsu. Now, like, you could say maybe Obito's Genjutsu wasn't that potent, but still, to me, I think it's pretty crazy impressive. So I've been talking for a minute. Daigo, what do you think of all these feats as far as you've heard?
I mean, as far as prodigies go in the Leaf Village and also the Naruto verse, Itachi is probably the third highest prodigy, you could say, behind Kakashi and Minato. And when I say prodigy, I just mean a person that develops really early and is a really, big genius when it comes to having to even train to learn stuff. Kakashi, he graduated when he was like 5, and Minato, I think it was actually after Itachi's age, or I think Minato was 10 when he graduated, but still, Minato did better in the Chunin exams. Like you said, he was like first place, Itachi was second. But as far as that goes, yeah, Itachi is right up there with the most genius kids in the village. I mean, nobody in the Konoha 12 even compares to that.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's actually crazy that Itachi wasn't the youngest to graduate from the academy. I think it's actually crazier that just on the just from the feats alone from the novels for him, like just how he did in the academy and even before the academy, it's really really crazy. So, so then we'll fast forward to his feats in the Anbu. I mean, they're pretty blatant. I mean, just on the fact that he was handpicked by the Leafs to be the one to take out the Uchiha clan massacre. Now, obviously, it wasn't just him, but still, the fact that he was able to take on pretty much at least half, if not more than half, of the Uchiha clan by himself is crazy impressive. Now, there are people who say that, like, maybe Itachi isn't as impressive because if you take the light novels and the anime backstory arc, as canon, it's implied that Itachi is kind of scared to take Fugaku on. In the words in the anime, I believe he says that Fugaku is like the worst possible opponent for him. I don't know if that's necessarily, because there are people who have, debate on what that kind of meant, if that meant like emotionally, that he might be the worst possible opponent to take him on, or if he meant like physically. I think it's more implied to be like, physically, like he's physically the worst opponent for him. But I don't know. I can't really, gauge because we don't see what Fugaku's ever capable of, really. So, I mean,
I also think the emotional argument's pretty good because it's his dad. And sure, he's really strong, but also the emotional burden Itachi would go through if he had to actually fight would be pretty bad for him.
That's what I said. Like, I honestly was like seeing both arguments. I was just like, I think when I first read it, I was just like, I guess my mind immediately went to him thinking that it was like probably the most challenging person to fight at the time. So, I'm iffy on it. I said I would like to make a clear consensus on who I think would win that one, but again, we just don't ever see what Fugaku's ever capable of, and we never even see him fight one time really. So it's really hard to gauge on that alone. But either way, and then going off of the extermination, we have his next following fight. We actually first see on screen, which is him fighting Kakashi and company. And this on its own, like, even though Kisame was there, I'd argue that like Itachi, as strong as he was, probably could take on all the Jonin that were there. Guy might be an exception. Like, I don't know if he'd be able to take on everybody there plus Guy, but
I'd say it probably depends on how seriously Guy takes the fight in the beginning. If he starts off bloodlusted on like the 6th or 7th gate already, then it's more difficult. But if things continue the way they were continuing there, and if Itachi and Kisame didn't just flee and Guy just fought against them in base, I think Itachi could take all 4 of them. I think time without much of an issue.
Yeah,
Kakashi was already down.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but Kurona is a non-issue. Natsuma, he's strong. Like in the Naruto universe, he's extremely powerful. But if you compare him to somebody like Itachi, he's also a non-entity.
Yeah,
and then you have Guy fighting in base. No, they were gonna lose.
So, in a hypothetical, like 1v4, like you said, I still think Itachi could probably take it. It just, like I said, it depends. And if it's all 4 with Guy in base, I think Itachi beats them. Because again, like you said earlier, at that point he wasn't plagued by sickness, so there's a really good chance he performed a lot better than what he otherwise would later on. But like you said, if assuming Kakashi's in peak condition and assuming Guy goes right into 7th, I think it's a little tougher. So, but again,
I still think he can probably win even if Guy goes 7th gate, because he has the Susanoo in that situation. We don't know if he actually had the Susanoo or if he developed during the time skip or something like that, but it's implied that you kind of get it early if you awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan anyway, especially because Itachi did so like 7 years before there or something. And the Susanoo can tank stuff, especially if Itachi already had the Yaramir.
Yeah.
But it would be difficult if Guy wasn't in base.
Well, even so, though, from what we saw, it is crazy. Like Itachi's build-up paid off in spades when we just see the lack of effort on his part. And then, like, all respect to everybody there, but like Guy, Kakashi specifically were built up to be these like super elite Jonin, you know what I'm saying? Like people we hardly ever see lose a fight. Even though Kakashi kind of got fear hacked by Orochimaru in the previous arc, but still, though, we don't see Kakashi or Guy taking many L's by this point. So it's like when we see Kakashi finally take probably the biggest L in his life and the quickest L in his life, it does paint Itachi as someone that can't be messed with. So especially by people in that tier. So you're already getting the assumption like, bro, this guy's gonna be really how is Sasuke and arguably Naruto at a certain point gonna be able to take this guy on? Like, this guy is stronger than Orochimaru, and even that like going on to that like how long in the tuning exams arc were we built up Orochimaru as this super villain, but like this guy is supposed to be stronger than Orochimaru? Like how in the world are they gonna be? That was like what I was thinking as a kid. So I was like,
the implications are like, oh, Itachi beats Orochimaru. He's just slightly stronger than Orochimaru, but I don't know. Itachi decimates Orochimaru in terms of power, because Orochimaru's like, I have no chance of getting Itachi's body anymore, so I have to go after Sasuke. And I have the Edo Tensei Jutsu up on my sleeve, and I'm not going to try and go after this guy, because even with that, with the thing I used to fight against Hokage, I'm not going to be able to do anything against him. Anything whatsoever. So he was terrified of Itachi.
Yeah, I mean, that is like, that sentence in that arc where he says, Itachi is stronger than I am. That is like blatantly the same as Hashirama taking one look at Obito and Ten-Tailed Jinchuriki saying like, yeah, that guy is stronger than I am. So it's like, that's about as concrete as you can probably get. So like on that alone, like you can't deny how strong Itachi is. Now, again, as we get, I think this is where Shippuden kind of fumbles a little bit in terms of like retcon. And I get it, the time skip, there's a lot of things that happen in, 2.5, 3 years, but it's one of those things that we like. Itachi was built up, right, as a super villain, really tough to bring down. And even though he consistently stayed that way as far as impressions go, we are given this backsliding in terms of his nerf, his narrative nerf, because yes, this guy is like super strong, but at the same time, he also has this like illness that's affecting him. And so he's not really able to fight in the, the peakest condition. So, you could really say like, yeah, like the Sasuke and Itachi fight is a perfect example. It's like how tough, because we just established by this point how strong heavy Sasuke is. Data is this guy that like majority of the main cast, were struggling, quote unquote, to beat or, to finally catch or whatever you want to call it. And here Sasuke is relatively easily taking him out. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he thought Sasuke was on his last legs at the end of it, but at the same time, like he was kind of just testing a lot of hypotheses that he was gathering.
And Obi was also helping Data out in the fight.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. So like, but the point is though, it's like we were building up Happy Sasuke to be this guy who's, reaching Kage level if he wasn't already on Kage level. Like bare minimum, he's
Kage level already in
bare
Tenchi Bridge arc.
I was gonna say bare minimum he's reaching it, but like, relatively speaking, he is Kage level, like just on his feet alone. So those are saying like, and then we also see him like struggle to fight Itachi, and we're led to believe that like Itachi is struggling too. And then we only find out that Itachi easily could have beaten this guy if he was trying his hardest, and yet he still wasn't. And again, as we said, he was blind, near death, and still could have won. So it's like,
I mean, we kind of see foreshadowing for that in the middle of the fight itself when Orochimaru pops out of Sasuke with his most powerful jutsu, supposedly the 8-headed serpent, and Itachi gives one look to the thing, he doesn't even flinch, and he stomps Orochimaru in 30 seconds. And that's it. And Orochimaru is a legendary shinobi in the Naruto world. He's not like, any chump that you're gonna find in the village and beat him like it's nothing. He's legendary Sanin. So it's looking at how he performed there.
Well, it's even funnier when you take into account like Itachi was ready for it too. Like he even that's what his intention was to draw Orochimaru out.
He was just playing Sasuke around till Orochimaru came out.
Yeah, he's like, okay, now he comes out. Now it's like, what took you so long? So it's like, yeah. So even sick Itachi is no joke. It's one of those things where it's like, and again, like the Akatsuki are painted as like S tier, like criminals above what you would really see in even most Kage. So it's one of those things where I feel bad about the people that I hit Itachi up against, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, so to answer the question in the title of the video, is Itachi Uchiha really that powerful? I think it goes without saying he is incredibly powerful. It's just, you know, when it comes to the opponents I pit him up against, they are also really powerful. And I think, you know, I told Daigo this before we started recording, is that like maybe me doing the scaling in the versus battle videos is a little bit tricky sometimes, because if I say that, you know, for example, you know, Minato versus Itachi, if I say Minato wins 6 to 7 out of 10, people are already triggered in saying that and thinking that that means Minato just stomps. And I'm like, that's not the case. That's not what I'm saying. If I say that a fight is going on 6 out of 7 out of 10, then that means that the other side that, you know, loses more often than not doesn't get stomped. They have a chance to win. That means I do think that they could pull off a win. Similar to the, you know, again, bringing up the Minato and the Itachi fight. I do think that Itachi could win. Do I think he wins more often than not? No. If you want to see my reasons for that, I'll post a link in the video for that video in the description below. But the point is that I don't think I'm underrating Itachi in those said videos. There's only one video that I may like think that like I could be underrating him in, but for context, which is the Kakashi and Itachi one. Like, I don't think in that video that me and Daigo did, I don't think that I was lowballing Itachi, especially since we were talking mostly about a sick Itachi versus War Kakashi. And in my personal opinion, if you don't think that bare minimum War Kakashi can at least give sick Itachi a good fight, I don't know what to tell you. I think you're kind of out of your mind, but that's just me. But again, I on the flip side of that, I did say that a healthy Itachi does win more often than not against War Kakashi. It's just War Kakashi's feats are really impressive, so I don't think I should be underrating him either. So as far as Kakashi aside, I think my scaling for Itachi in terms of the other videos I put him up against are sound in my opinion.
Yeah, and the thing is, Itachi is one of the most popular Naruto characters. He ranked number 2 in the popularity poll they did a while ago. So obviously, Itachi's fans are going to say he is really damn strong and that he stomps pretty much everybody in the verse. This is how takes like, oh, Itachi destroys Madara or Hashirama or whoever else, which Itachi has no chance against, these things arise. But then there's also the counter arguments. There are also two extremes saying that Itachi is fodder, that he can't fight for 5 minutes straight. And usually when there are two extreme points like that, the truth lies in the middle of things.
Yeah.
So Itachi is not in the top tier of the verse. He's definitely not 6 Pets level. He has no chance against any Madara that we can pinpoint the abilities of, for example. We don't know what's base Mangekyo Madara could do, so we can't really say. But he's also definitely stronger than most Kages even. The only Kages that I can think could, beat Itachi are probably going to be Minato, Hashirama, Naruto, and probably Kakashi. Like, every other Kage in the Naruto verse is no chance against Itachi. And the problem with doing battles between, like, Itachi and someone powerful, like, say, the 4th Raikage, or even Onoki, for example, who are clearly very powerful characters, is that Itachi actually destroys these guys.
Yeah.
Because he just completely negates their abilities and everything. But then it's not a very good video. You're like, yeah, man, I mean, Itachi destroys this guy. What can I say? Like, he has no chance. But then you have to put Itachi against people that are very strong and that have counters for Itachi. And this is when Itachi's weaknesses show up, like his lack of stamina, relatively speaking, his lack of chakra, his disease. So Itachi's a tricky character for versus battles videos.
Definitely. And that's what I'm saying is, like, and at some point I might do, like, Itachi versus the Hokage. In my personal rough opinion, I think that, as far as the Hokage go, if I had to, say how strong he is relative to the other Hokage, I'd probably put him anywhere between probably the 5th strongest Hokage, behind Naruto, obviously, Hashirama, Kakashi, Minato, and then Itachi. So
And it was even talking about every Kage in the verse. I don't think any other Kage would be able to beat Itachi in a 1v1. I mean, we don't know exactly what the first Mizukage or in the first other Kages could do exactly, but I think Itachi probably has a chance of beating them.
The only other Kage I'd say that would probably give Itachi a really good fight is probably the third Raikage, just on his speed.
I don't really see it because Itachi, sure, he can probably dodge a Madarasu, but Itachi has Genjutsu and
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If he gets him with Genjutsu, it's done for. And I think it's definitely likely, just given Itachi's reaction speed and his how quick he is to pull off Genjutsu. I was thinking if any other Kage were to give him a relatively tough fight, it probably would be the third Raikage, just how strong and crazy fast he is. But that would be the only one that I could think of that give him a tough fight. So I mean, I said, to answer the question, y'all, like, no, I don't think Itachi's overrated. I think he's extremely powerful. I'm sorry if this video doesn't convince you otherwise, that you think that I lowball Itachi in videos. I apologize if you think I do, but I'm also not going to say that my opinions have changed on the videos that I've put him in. I will agree that maybe there are times where I don't, give him enough credit. But again, I think people are getting too triggered about me saying that this person wins against Itachi 6 or 7 out of 10 because that implies that they stomp him, and that's not the case. If he wins, they win 6 or 7 out of 10. Obviously, Itachi gives them a heck of a fight, and that there are chances that Itachi can win. So I don't know. I get it. Like Daigo was saying, Itachi's a really tricky person to cover in versus battle videos because everybody.
And I think I did this video with you. There was Itachi versus the 5 Kage, the same 5 Kage that Madara fought against.
Oh yeah.
And I think we actually gave Itachi a lot of props in that video. We gave him the benefit of the doubt several times, saying that he aimed to have some win cons, especially if he's in Edo Tensei.
Yeah.
I think we even said that. He definitely beats the 5 Kage in Edo Tensei state. So
yeah. If freaking we had the other side of the spectrum where people were even though we gave Itachi, enough props, people were still y'all are crazy. The 5 Kage rip them apart. What are you talking about? So it's when it comes to Itachi, there is a no win. I understand that. I understand I'm pretty much writing myself into a corner every time I cover Itachi in versus battle videos. But I just want to get it out there because Itachi is the one that I have a reputation about me not giving him enough credit. So that was what the point of
the same thing with Jiraiya. That is always somebody.
Yeah. I have a fear.
Watch my Jiraiya versus Itachi video, guys. Trust me.
I'll put a link for that in the description below as well. Jiraiya is one that I'm almost scared to do, but again, just because I don't feel like I don't want to lowball him either. So yeah, that's gonna be the video. I don't know if this is gonna change everyone's mind, but hopefully y'all understand where I'm coming from at this point. I don't think Itachi is underrated at all. I think he are overrated, so I don't think he's overrated at all. I think if anything, he might be slightly underrated. But again, it's just we don't get enough of him in full power, so it's one of those things where you can't really say. So in any case, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Daigo, for being on this video with me.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure you subscribe to Daigo's channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching all the way to the end if you have. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell for more notifications for future videos. Till my next one, LightningSnow.